Hi, and welcome to the video course Configuring Windows 7, designed to help prepare you for the 70-680 certification exam. My name is Patrick Lohner, and I'll be your instructor on this course. I want to start with just a little bit about my background. I've been in the IT industry for just going on 15 years. I've worked in a few different environments. Got my start actually as a MCSA on Windows NT, and pretty quickly jumped into the training environment. In the training environment, I was responsible for the technical training classes, certifying individuals for the MCSE, upgrading to 2000 and to 2003. But I was also in charge of the facilities. Myself and another individual were the administrator at that training center for 4 years. And so we dealt with a lot of problems back then, hardware issues, software issues, networking issues, and got our hands in just about everything. Back in about 2004, I went to work more for a consulting type of agency. They were a support agency that helped smaller businesses that don't have local IT personnel, or to assist those IT personnel in certain upgrades. At that point, I really started working a lot with servers, with Microsoft Exchange, doing upgrades to Exchange from other products, doing upgrades of Windows servers, but was also heavily involved in going out to support individuals that were using various operating systems. At this point, near the end, it was just into the Windows Vista timeframe. And so really for the last 7 or so years, I've worked as an independent contractor, teaching classes, but also doing some consulting. In that time, I have assisted and trained on Windows 7 really repeatedly, and I've been using Windows 7 ever since it came out. It's by far my favorite operating system. I think I actually even like it more than Windows XP. Just a very capable operating system that I've been heavily involved with. So I feel pretty confident here that we can go through and meet all of the objectives of the course and prepare you both for real life scenarios as well as for the exam. So what are we going to talk about in this course? Well, we've got a number of different things that map directly to the objectives of the 7680 exam. The first is installing, upgrading, and migrating Windows 7. And so we're going to be looking at the steps that you'll take, the prerequisites, and the different methods. Now, one of those methods is an image-based type of installation. And that's something that's typically done more in an enterprise environment. We need to be familiar with the different tools that are used and where and how that process functions. We also need to know how to configure hardware and applications. So we're going to look at device driver software that allows you to interact with the hardware, managing disks through a couple of different utilities, configuring applications to be compatible if they maybe ran on an earlier version of Windows. You need to make sure that they're going to run on Windows 7. And then also configuring Internet Explorer as the default browser in Windows 7. We need to know how to configure network connectivity. So we'll talk about the TCP/IP protocol. We'll talk about the necessity of IP addresses and how you obtain those addresses. We'll look at DNS name resolution and also help you to troubleshoot. We're also going to look at a new feature in Windows 7 known as branch cache. Then we'll be looking at configuring access to resources. Okay? In that, which is one of the primary reasons why we network in the first place, we are going to focus in on the authentication and authorization processes. How do we validate the identity of individuals? What kind of user accounts are created? Where are they stored? What kind of permissions do we use to determine whether you can perform actions on a particular object? All of those are going to be very important. We're going to look at mobile computing. There are certain things that are only available in a laptop computer or just more logical in a laptop computer, like power options, the Windows Mobility Center. Then there are some things that we typically see used on laptop computers like remote access. So we'll go through VPNs and another new feature in Windows 7 known as direct access. We'll look at some security options. While this isn't a major category, there are a lot of major category in the objectives. There are a lot of security related things that are kind of sporadic throughout the objectives. So I just put them into their own little category: user account control, the encrypting file system, BitLocker drive encryption, the Windows firewall, etc. We need to know how to configure those because it helps to maintain security in Windows. We also need to know how to monitor and maintain systems. We're going to talk about the importance of Windows updates and how to manage that. We'll talk about various tools that you can use to monitor performance as well as optimize performance. And then finally, we'll look at backup and recovery options. To back up data that's critical to you, to be able to restore it, as well as various tools that you can use to repair things like startup issues or hardware or device driver problems. So that's the lineup. It's a big lineup. There's a lot that we have to do. Once again, my name is Patrick Lohner, and I'm happy to be your instructor on this course, so let's go ahead and get started.